Madeline lived in a small house nestled near the edge of a dense forest. Her life unfolded in quiet solitude, yet her heart remained ever kind. Her husband, Michael, dedicated his days and nights to working as a tractor driver on a local farm, deeply passionate about his career despite Madeline's concerns that it would ultimately cost him his health. Tragically, her words proved prophetic when Michael suffered a fatal heart attack at work. Left alone after her husband's passing, Madeline found solace in the natural beauty that surrounded her since childhood. The forest, with its towering pines and larches, became her sanctuary. She would wander among the trees for hours, gathering mushrooms without fear of losing her way, each tree a familiar guide. To Madeline, it often felt as though an invisible thread bound her soul to the forest itself. Returning home weary from her woodland excursions, Madeline would always brew a pot of tea on her smoky stove, a ritual she cherished deeply. Sitting at her worn wooden table, she would tenderly hold a photograph of her daughter Tracy and granddaughter Primrose. Tracy and Primrose lived in the bustling city, visiting Madeline sparingly, a fact that pained her deeply though she never let it show. Madeline silently accepted their infrequent visits, nodding in understanding, placing the blame squarely on Tracy's pursuit of a better life. Tracy's dreams of becoming a sewing machine operator and marrying into wealth never materialized. Her academic struggles led to expulsion from school, dashing her hopes. While she eventually found a husband, he proved to be abusive and critical of her rural origins, prompting Tracy to seek divorce despite her concern for their child. Throughout these turbulent times, Madeline and Michael supported Tracy and Primrose as best they could, offering financial assistance from their modest pension, selling produce from their garden, and providing unwavering emotional support. Tracy's employment in a grocery store, where she exploited customers for extra income, highlighted her struggles to meet increasing demands as Primrose grew older. Tracy seldom returned to her childhood village, preferring the anonymity of city life and avoiding reminders of her upbringing. Madeline's days continued in the familiar rhythm of solitude and natural communion, her heart heavy with the weight of unspoken longing for her distant family, yet steadfast in her love and understanding. Madeline never voiced her disappointment over her daughter's infrequent visits. Her kind heart led her to empathize with Tracy's busy city life, though she deeply missed her daughter's presence. In Madeline's quiet world, her faithful companion was Luna, an old, half-blind dog who roamed freely without a chain, enjoying his twilight years in liberty. Madeline's compassion and respect for Luna's age were evident in every gesture. One early morning, Madeline rose to tend her garden, casting occasional glances at the sky, sensing an impending thunderstorm in the air. As she hurriedly weeded the grass, her attention was suddenly drawn upwards to a figure near the fence. Startled, she exclaimed, "My goodness!" Primrose, her granddaughter, stood at the threshold, holding a large bag and shifting uncomfortably from foot to foot, clearly hesitant. "Hey, Grandma, I'm sorry for coming without notice. I didn't even have time to bring sweets," Primrose apologized softly. Madeline quickly removed her gardening gloves and asked with concern, "What's happened? You've come with your bag. You never used to visit like this before." Embracing Primrose tightly, Madeline urged, "Tell me everything." Bringing the bag inside, Primrose confided in her grandmother about her mother's new companion, a lazy, demanding man who lounged on the couch all day, expecting Primrose to serve him meals and attend to his socks. Over a bowl of her grandmother's soup, Primrose continued, "It's unbearable living with him, Grandma. So I came here. I'll stay for a while and see what I can do. I love Mom, but I can't stand that man. What else could I do? I feel like I'm just a burden to them." Madeline welcomed Primrose's decision warmly. She felt a sense of joy at having her granddaughter's company. Loneliness had weighed heavily on her, and now she could find solace in having Primrose around. For a month, Primrose helped around the house, tended to the garden, and spent her days working on the computer. Madeline was pleasantly surprised. How is it possible? You can sit on the internet and earn money." Their days passed peacefully until one fateful night when an unexpected event disrupted their tranquility. Both Madeline and Primrose were jolted awake by Luna's frantic barking, a stark contrast to his usual quiet demeanor. Alarmed, Primrose hurried out of bed and peered into the yard, where a sight made her knees tremble with fear. She called out in a trembling voice, and Madeline rushed outside, freezing in shock. A wounded bear lay near the fence, seeking refuge after a distressing ordeal in the forest the day before. Madeline was at a loss, unsure of what to do as Primrose darted about in a panic. Carefully examining the wounded bear, Madeline realized it was pregnant. Despite her efforts, the mother bear succumbed after giving birth prematurely, and the cubs did not survive. The harrowing night left both Primrose and Madeline shaken for days. They took in the surviving bear cub, nurturing it with warm milk. Primrose cradled the cub to sleep, wrapping it in a shaggy blanket to mimic its mother's warmth. The next morning, Madeline quietly sought help from neighbors to bury the mother bear, keeping the cub hidden. However, some observant neighbors spotted the cub through the fence and tipped off poachers. The poachers made a tempting offer for the cub, but Madeline refused adamantly. Frustrated and muttering threats, the poachers departed empty-handed. The bear cub grew up under the care of Madeline and Primrose, but as it matured into adolescence, they knew it was time to let him go for his own safety. Initially returning to the house, the bear eventually adapted to life in the wild. Months passed, and Primrose found work as a postal carrier, cycling through villages to deliver mail and pensions. Her routine was disrupted when Jeremy, the son of a bankrupt farmer, began pursuing her aggressively. Jeremy was known for his drinking and womanizing, traits that repulsed Primrose. Jeremy's obsession with Primrose grew when he witnessed her affectionately interacting with the tame bear one evening. An opportunistic plan formed in his mind to profit by selling the bear to acquaintances in the city while exacting revenge on Primrose. One evening, 3 intimidating men stormed into Madeline's house, armed with knives and guns, demanding to know the whereabouts of the tame bear. Primrose realized Jeremy was behind this scheme, a betrayal she hadn't anticipated. Refusing to cooperate, Madeline and Primrose resisted fiercely. The situation escalated when the bandits, desperate for information, threatened violence. Primrose, unable to bear seeing her grandmother in danger, reluctantly agreed to lead them to the bear. As dusk settled, Primrose guided the men into the forest, knowing the bear had found a mate during mating season. Spotting the bears from a distance, she led the poachers unwittingly into a trap, facing not one, but 2 formidable bears. The bear glared menacingly at the bandits, waiting for one of them to make a move. When one did, he lunged forward, seizing the gun and attacking fiercely. In a matter of minutes, the bears tore into the bandits, who fled in terror from the forest, their bodies maimed and barely able to move. Primrose approached the bear cautiously, stroking him gently as he licked her hands affectionately. Nearby, the bear's girlfriend watched apprehensively, wary of humans and confused by the bear's interaction with Primrose. Following the ordeal, Madeline and her granddaughter wasted no time and immediately reported the incident to the police. The local sheriff swiftly apprehended the poachers, tracing their movements back to a recently arrived car from the city and their visit to Jeremy's father's farm. Capturing them was straightforward given the evidence and witnesses involved.